Hey guys, Maverick here. So today we're going to go over the 3 current stimulus package proposals and how they will affect you. If any one of these gets passed, it's going to change things in this country drastically. So stay tuned for this quick disclaimer and we'll jump right into all the details. Hey guys, welcome back to Compound Interest. This is Maverick. So today we got interesting topics. There are 3 proposals on the table right now for new stimulus packages, and they are pretty dramatic. Before we get to that though, if you haven't been to the channel before, please consider subscribing or hitting the like button. And why would you do that? Why the heck would you listen to me? Well, my name's Maverick. I used to be a certified financial advisor. I had my Series 7, my Series 63, my life and variable products from my state, and my mortgage and banking license for years. And I've been in finances and investing for as long as I can remember. And I've always been obsessed with building wealth. And I feel compelled to share everything that I learned so that way you guys can build yourself and build your future of wealth. And so I hope you stick around and hopefully you learn stuff from this channel. Fortunately, we're fairly new, so you haven't missed too much yet. But yeah, I hope you see value in these videos. And if you guys haven't yet, look in the description below. I have my wealth building kit that's down there. If you click the links, you're going to get some great content, some great books, such as Rich Dad, Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki, and Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I also have my 10 wealth building tips, along with budgeting worksheets. There's all kinds of stuff in that wealth building kit, and it's free. So please grab that in the description below if you haven't clicked on that link yet. If you guys have any questions about accessing any of it, just send me a message or leave a comment. Anyway, before we get into the three proposals that are going on, we're going to talk about the markets real quick. So I'm going to jump into that. All right, and here's what's going on in the markets. And if you followed my video last week, I told you that there was a rising wedge that was going on. Now, I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, I told you so. See, I'm so smart. But typically, statistically, rising wedges tend to break to the downside. And if you look at it here, we broke out of this rising wedge, and this is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. We broke out of this and went down, and we have since corrected back up, and then it looks like we're about to bounce and reject right off the 0.5 Fibonacci. So like I said, Fibonacci's tend to play a big role in technical analysis, and there's still a good chance that we could come here off the 382 and go back up and touch this golden pocket ratio. So honestly, I don't really know, because with the Fed pumping money in and propping up this market, who knows where it's going to go? You don't really know. Eventually, I think it's going to go down because they can't buy everything forever, especially when employment keeps going through the roof. I mean, if you think about it, why is this even happening? You have unemployment around, 12 million people or 10 million people or 15 million people. The market should not be going up. But, I'm not the government. I'm not the Fed. I don't control that stuff. But that's what's going on with the Dow Jones right now. It looks like we're getting to the point where we're either going to go up for another leg or we're going to just roll over. However, Bitcoin, from my video last week, did correct a little bit, but it's pumping higher now. It broke above this resistance, and now it's hitting another resistance up here. People might be starting to sense the fear that's going on right now in the market and are running to, uncorrelated assets. I mean, the gold price has been going up. I talked about it last week. It went from $1,500 to $1,700 an ounce, and the Bitcoin price is now rising. Now, that also has to do with, my opinion, the halving going on. Bitcoin has a halving every, 4 to 6 years, where the block reward for miners is cut in half. And typically when that happens, it's just basic supply and demand. When you have a limited supply and the miners then have to charge more fees to make up their costs, the price of Bitcoin's going to go up just like regular gold. So there's there's a chance that that has a lot to do with this. People are, buying the rumor and selling, or potentially buying the rumor and then going to sell the news when the halving happens. I mean, that tends to happen a lot in the crypto space. So we'll see where this goes. I can't imagine it continuing to go too much higher, especially with all the fear. People are just hoarding cash right now because of all the uncertainty. So this could just be whales manipulating the market. I don't really know. We'll find out though. Since it broke down here for my prediction of hitting the 615, I did not expect it to go back up from this. I thought we were gonna have a correction down here. So that just proves that no one really knows where it's gonna go. Anyway, so let's get into the three topics. And these stimulus proposals, what's my real opinion on this? I think it can be helpful to people short term, but in the long term, this is going to bleed out our current economic system, our monetary policy. The dollar is going to get destroyed over the next 5 or 10 years. And yes, you can come back to this video if our monetary policy shifts in the next 10 years. Anyway, so stimulus, the first one we're going to talk about is the stimulus proposal, $2,000 of payments per month for 1 year after the crisis. So basically what this means is you can go through the article. I will post these down in the description. Basically, it's just an article saying that, hey, our proposal saying that, hey, every American that's 16 or ages or older that makes less than $130,000 a year, $260,000 a year for a married couple will get $2,000 a month for the next 6 months. That can be renewed at any time. Now that is awesome, but also is going to be expensive as hell. And I ran the numbers. It's around $2.5 or $2.6 billion that this would cost the government, which is more than the CARES Act was originally. So we're talking about pumping another over $2.5 billion into the economy to keep everything afloat. Now, you're getting to the point where you're going to see that this is going to start affecting things long term. In the short term, everybody's going to be cheering because imagine being a 16-year-old kid and getting $2,000 a month. This doesn't say anything about if you're working or not. So there's some flaws and obviously some changes that I would expect them to make, because if you're an essential employee and you and your wife or spouse are making $120K a year and then you get an additional $2,000 per month on top of that for the next 6 months, I mean, everybody's going to be freaking rolling in it. And to me, that really doesn't make sense. This should be going towards people that actually really need it, which also shows you how desperate they are. So this is the first proposal. You can read through this article. I'll post it down in the description below. It's actually this article. Get $2,000 every month. Anyway, this article, I clicked on the wrong one. My fault. So here's the second proposal, the emergency rent and mortgage cancellation legislation. So basically what that would do is cancel mortgage payments and rent payments for up to 1 year, or I think it's actually a full year, which to me is controversial because if you go through this, I'll link it as well. It basically says that there's a chance that people will be paying penalties down the road, or they'll have to pay a lump sum payment back when all this forbearance, because it's really like putting in forbearance stops. It makes it seem like they're still going to accumulate interest. And I don't know. I'll let you read through this and decide from yourself if you want to read through it. But it's only 5 pages. The good news is if you own real estate and you rent it out, you're going to get supplemented, which is nice. So if your renters aren't paying, which I'm assuming if you do have real estate, probably half the people that rent out probably aren't receiving money right now. Even bigger people that I follow, like half the renters aren't paying right now. So this being introduced would help both sides of the equation, where people aren't so stressed out about paying rent or mortgages, and it would still keep the people that are renting or the banks from going under. So take it with a grain of salt. I'll let you guys read through this. and come up to your own conclusion. Now, the third thing is the Automatic Boost to Communities Act. Now, the summary of this is crazy. In response, I'm going to read this summary for you. In response to coronavirus crisis, the Automatic Boost to Communities Act would immediately provide a U.S. debit card preloaded with $2,000 to every person in America. Every single person. That means my 1-year-old is going to get a debit card with fucking $2,000 on it. And then each card would be recharged with $1,000 monthly until 1 year after the end of the coronavirus. So if the coronavirus sticks around till the fall and then mutates and continues, you could potentially be getting $1,000 a month preloaded on a debit card for, a year and a half or 2 years. But look at this. This dependence, every person includes dependents. So a couple with 2 children would receive 4 times $2,000 at first initially. So that's $8,000 in total loaded. Non-citizens, including undocumented people, permanent residents, and temporary visitors whose stay exceed 3 months. So those people get it well. Individuals who do not have a bank account, social security number, or permanent address. I don't know how they'd find those people to pay them $2,000, but hey, here's a debit card. And people living in unincorporated territories, protectorates, and American living abroad. I mean, this is fucking insane. Not that I'm saying it's bad or it couldn't help people, but how the hell are we going to pay for this? We're talking about extreme future taxation to other generations, extreme, because this bill will eventually come due, and whether it's our children or our children's children will pay for this hardcore, or we're just going to see some sort of potential hyperinflation, like what happened to the mark back in Germany in the 1900s or whatever, where the mark went up to, the government was printing so much money that they were printing it on pieces of paper and cloth, and the mark was, went from, thousands of dollars for 1 mark to hundreds of thousands of dollars to $1 million per mark. And the hyperinflation was so bad that the country just collapsed. I'm not saying that's going to happen here. It probably won't. I think there'll be a monetary policy shift, and my guess it'll be over the next 10 years. This will be a slow bleed to the point where, they can't throw money at it anymore, and something has to change. Anyway, so this is to me the most extreme proposal and most interesting proposal. I don't know how the heck they can afford to pay people $1,000 a month, but the initial money that you would get right here is crazy. So if you had 5 kids, I guess it pays to have a lot of kids. So people might be making babies as they're reading this. Who knows? We'll see. So these are the 3 proposals. I'm going to link all these in the description below. And I know I didn't go into high detail about this, but I think that you guys need to be aware of these 3 proposals, because any one of these could potentially change people's lives in the short term, for better or worse. If you're taking this money and you decide to blow it, or you're taking this money and you're investing it, the idea is obviously for something like this, you have to think about the big picture. For a government to voluntarily want to propose to give this much money out to people should be a red flag in your mind for how bad this is actually from an economic standpoint. Now, you can debate all day long how bad this virus is, if it, the chances of you getting it or not. For me, I've always thought that it was the economic impact of the actions that the government and senators are taking in their states is going to be far worse than anything this virus will ever do. And I'm going to stand by that 100%. I think this was a shorter video today. And if you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. In fact, you know what? Why don't you just stimulate the crap out of the like button and smash it to death? Because that would help out the YouTube algorithm. It makes me happy. And of course, when you hit that like button, I'm supposed to be drinking Corona, but I opened up the wrong beer, so now I got the king of beers, which is Budweiser. So, till next time, guys, stay safe, stay vigilant, and I'll see you guys in the next video.